It's Monday. And you know how sometimes I say to you guys, we have a big show, and that is true today. But we need to do some talking because we also have a big problem. And we truly need to be adults about this situation and look at it head on and face the fact that the day that we knew would arrive is here. We've talked about it from the beginning. Earlier in this presidential term, like practically day one, we have recognized here on Gen Taub Live that we are now living in an authoritarian state, a kleptocratic authoritarian state. That is something we've talked about. And the thing we haven't faced that's been kind of looming in the background is that Donald Trump wanted to be not just dictator for a day, but he has always admired people like Putin. He loves the equivalent of I wouldn't call it goose stepping in North Korea, but it's the that kind of uniformity of a military presence, bowing and scraping for him. And we also know that he's planned this birthday celebration, pretextually to celebrate the troops, but he's having a birthday celebration Saturday, June 14th, and they are bringing tanks in to DC to roll through the streets. This is something he wanted to do before, but people, the so-called adults in the room, like General John Kelly, and others, were able to dissuade him. There is no one holding him back. So these are the factors coming in. One, authoritarianism. Two, he wants a big military parade. Three, we are planning and will be out peacefully and nonviolently in the streets across the country, detracting from his parade. Four, the Pope is also having an address that day, kind of stealing his thunder. And five, the most important thing, he is in the middle of what is the equivalent of equal to nearly, and I don't like to invoke Hitler, but he is engaging in fascist Nazi-like tactics, rounding people up, separating mothers from their children, unlawfully renditioning people to other countries, horrifically with a plan to meet a quota to prey upon the good people of America who are living here without documentation, because in some cases with it, because there is no path actually to citizenship. So they've come here and proven themselves. And this is incredibly unpopular. We have seen the peaceful marches involved with this. So this all came together, as you know, in Los Angeles. And it's unclear if any people were acting violently or not. But regardless, whatever was happening in the streets over the weekend on Saturday night was something the LAPD could handle. And listen, the LAPD has issues and they've been problematic over the last few days. However, they said, we've got this. Nevertheless, as you have heard, Donald Trump decided to send in the National Guard. And the thing that most of us don't focus on is, even though it's called the National Guard is commanded state by state. So deciding to send in the National Guard into California typically would involve talking to the governor of California. Now, in fact, I shouldn't say typically. The statute that Donald Trump evoked, not the Insurrection Act, by the way, but the statute he evoked to federalize the National Guard, requires circumstances akin to invasion and rebellion, and regardless of the circumstances you are hanging the hook on, if you're president, you need the governor's authority. 100% true. It's in the statute. Now, you might be saying, but I've watched the news, Jennifer, and I remember that I heard on the news in 1965, President Johnson sent in the National Guard and didn't get a governor's approval to protect people, civil rights of people. And I'm going to tell you, yeah, I know about that. But Johnson invoked the Insurrection Act. And that is different. I'm not hoping Donald Trump invokes that. But the difference is, and I'm sorry I'm getting in the weeds, I'm going to get to the sensational stuff, but I need you to know this. The difference is this is so lawless because by not invoking the Insurrection Act and having the National Guard become federalized, doing this, one, without the governor's approval, not legal, and two, when you avoid the Insurrection Act and you just go with federalizing the National Guard, this law that I'm sure you've heard of from like 1878, probably. I think 1898, the Posse Comitatus Act. Yes, there's a thing and it's still around. It applies to the situation we're in. Okay, what does that mean? Bottom line, and this is a statute as well. If he doesn't invoke the Insurrection Act, which he has not done so far, and President Trump goes and tells the National Guard, calls them out, and federalizes them under his command, again, that's already unlawful because he didn't get Newsom's approval. If he does that, they're not allowed to be used against civilians as a military force. So this is so lawless. And the deal is, I know I'm saying that because it doesn't matter. Because even though this is a crime, I believe that statute doesn't apply to Donald Trump, one, because he's ignoring it, and who has the army to contest him? And two, I do believe that John Roberts, with his terrible, no good decision to provide that immunization to Donald Trump last July, like July 1st, a year ago, would mean that I'm not sure that this statute limiting what he can do can actually apply to him if he claims he's using his Article 2 authorities. Now, that is for another day. If Donald Trump is still alive at the point in time when there's another president, if we actually have one, and it's not Donald Trump Jr. or one of his sycophants, maybe they'll try to prosecute him. I don't know. But this legal analysis, though interesting, has nothing to do with what we face now. We are now living in a dictatorship. And I say that it doesn't make me happy to tell you, but I need you to understand that so you can make the decisions that are right for you about how you move forward. Now, let me start here. With Gavin Newsom, because he was interviewed on the news yesterday about this situation, right? He's governor of California. We're going to walk through this. And by the way, I have other news. But when it comes to money, law, and power, this is the whole thing. We have the president of the United States putting troops in the street to go against peaceful, largely almost all nonviolent protesters against the will of the governor, not invoking the Insurrection Act, violating the Posse Comitatus Act, and itching for a fight. Let's watch.
Not in the city proper. But look, you made a point a moment ago.
All right.
These images.
I'm going to start that over again. I want to blow this up. Okay, here we go.
Not in the city proper. But look, you made a point a moment ago. These images are unacceptable. These kids on the car, the folks that are taking advantage of this, these aren't peaceful protesters, a lot of these folks, a lot of great people out there doing the right thing. But you get these insurgent groups coming in, sort of these anarchists that are in there to create real problems. And they're just playing right into Donald Trump's hand. And they need to be called out. They need to be arrested. It is wrong to destroy other people's property, and it is wrong to create the conditions that only exacerbate this. But Donald Trump, at the end of the day, is the sponsor of these conditions.
Let me give you the opportunity. You mentioned that there are people out there.
Perfect. So let's start first. Newsom is giving you the full story. Anyone who says to you, well, a couple things. Yes, it's true that news organizations might appear to be exaggerating the amount of violent activity in these protests. That might be true or is true, but you know how the news works. If it bleeds, it leads. So that's one thing. Two, however, it's not entirely nonviolent, and that is a problem. But that is a problem that Gavin Newsom's team should fix. And let me tell you, when I was a co-organizer of Tax March back in April 15th of 2017, and by the way, that's how I first met Ezra Levin. One of my biggest fears is that someone would act violently and undermine everything we were trying to do. It was this pit in my stomach. And I recognize, thank God that didn't happen. But what I'm telling you now is we still have the right and must demonstrate peacefully, nonviolently, through sit-ins and rallies or holding signs or whatever we want to do. I believe we must do that. And also, we should be self-policing. I was at a march in Detroit about a month ago. I can't remember which one it was. And there were people, organizers, wearing orange vests, like the kind you wear at night if you're walking at night. And they were helping guide people to where they should walk. Internal policing is good. If you see someone acting drunk or deranged or look like they're itching for a fight and actually might be one, an infiltrator, or two, just someone who likes to blow shit up, remove them from the group, have the assistance, organize and work with the LAPD. I know that sounds crazy. They did some crazy shit and bad stuff. I don't want them shooting rubber bullets. It's complicated. That said, we must show up on June 14th across the country. Do not be afraid. And again, this is your choice, but I'm putting this in your face right now on Monday morning. So by Saturday, you're ready to go out because we get one shot at this. This is this is what it's about, guys. I'm not saying it's going to work. And if it doesn't, it's not on us. But if I stay home or you stay home because you think you're going to be one person out of, 10 million, hopefully, you think you're going to be, the 300 out of 10 million, you have less of a chance of getting injured or arrested, going to a protest and dying in a car accident. Don't be afraid because of the images you see on TV. I implore you. I cannot guarantee two things: that we're going to have a democracy or ever another election. I've not wanted to say that. And I know Ezra Levin talked us off the ledge the other day and said, this is just a brief period, but he said we have to show up. I think we really have to show up this Saturday. I beg you. I think we are in a place we've never been in this country. And depending on how the next few weeks go, I may be coming to you and saying, I'm still doing this, but who knows for how long. I mean, they'll have to drag me away from a microphone with my toes up in a casket because, you'll take this. What did Charlton Heston say about his gun? I'll say about my microphone. You'll take this microphone out of my cold, dead hands. But that's me. I'm begging you, use your feet. Now, there's more. Gavin Newsom isn't just pointing to people he's worried are going to undermine the cause. He did something really good. And he looked at Donald Trump even more. Let's play it.
10 years. The fear, the horror. The hell is this guy? Come after me, arrest me. Let's just get it over with. Tough guy. I don't give a damn. But I care about my community. I care about this community. The hell are they doing? These guys need to grow up. They need to stop. And we need to push back. And I'm sorry to be so clear, but that kind of bloviating is exhausting. So, Tom, arrest me. Let's go.
The perception is there's a lot of...
Tom, arrest me. Let's go. See, Gavin's chin is up. I know, this is politicking and this is what he does. But that's a real gesture. He's pissed off at Donald Trump. And I think he's smart. Because if we stand up to this, if things come together, because you never know. You never know. We've got Elon Musk still fighting with Donald Trump. We have the Wall Street Journal condemning this, Cato Institute. Forces that be, something could happen. We could hit the streets. We might defeat this authoritarian dictatorship, this fledgling authoritarian dictatorship. We may grab our democracy back. And I believe in the American people. And if so, Gavin Newsom, who's been criticized for going on these bro talk shows, and good for him, meet people where they are as far as I'm concerned, standing up to Donald Trump right now to help save the democracy, is the play to make. And I say play, guys, because how else do you build your name and win an election? I've met Newsom in person. I like him. He's good enough. Is he perfect? Okay. Nobody's perfect. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. And while we're waiting for perfect, guys, we have a fucking dictatorship. Fuck you for not voting or for not voting for Kamala Harris. That's what I got to say on that. Now, okay, you just heard from one side of the story. I think you should hear from Donald Trump. What did he say? Oh, and by the way, I'm not sure if I just want to emphasize this. Gavin Newsom was on the phone, let's emphasize this, with Donald Trump and tried to get him to talk about Los Angeles. This is the other day before Trump actually invokes and calls out the National Guard, federalizes the National Guard that's supposed to be under the command of the governor. Newsom wanted to talk to him about Los Angeles, about how people don't like ICE breaking the law and rounding up their neighbors. And Trump kept changing the subject. He had every opportunity to ask Newsom for permission, and he didn't. So this is yesterday. This is Donald Trump. And I would take him at his word. Now, the good news is we know Taco. Trump always chickens out. But Stephen Miller doesn't. And Stephen Miller is driving this. And Pete Kegsbreath doesn't chicken out. He just flames out. So there are forces beyond Donald Trump, but we have the Taco hope. But right now, Donald Trump, and excuse me, if there are children in the room, remove them. Donald Trump right now has a hard-on for war against the American people. And you can hear it right now. Let's play it.
You don't plan to invoke the Insurrection Act? Do you plan to send troops to Los Angeles?
What?
Even if you're not planning to invoke the Insurrection Act, you still plan to send troops?
Well, we're going to have troops everywhere. We're not going to let this happen to our country. We're not going to let our country be torn apart like it was under Biden and his auto pen.
Did you hear him? Are you going to send troops to Los Angeles? Well, right now he's already deputized the National Guard, but there's another question embedded in here. Pete Kegsbreath wants to send in the Marines. Donald Trump's question of, are you going to send troops to Los Angeles? Did you hear him? He said, we're going to have troops everywhere. Everywhere. I need you to remember that when he was incorrigible, uncontrollable in his family because Fred Trump helped create a monster, his father, where did they send Donald? To military school, where he lorded his height and his lack of empathy over the other boys. He was sadistic and he focused on shining and polishing up his medals. Did Donald Trump ever serve in battle? No. He got his way out with some problem. What was it with his feet? Did he have some corns on his toes? I'm kidding you, right? He had a fake podiatrist say that he could not go to war. And this is something that has always bothered him because he knows to be a strong man, you need to be a warrior. And this is what he's going to do. And he's going to war against the American people, but he's pretending that he's liberating Los Angeles. Now, this is fucked up because the people of Los Angeles don't want this. The governor of Los Angeles doesn't want this. None of us want this. But that's not about us. Okay? It was Bone Spurs that he had, I'm remembering. So President Bone Spurs needs to have his war. He's already, let's just look at what's going on. I got more clips here. He's engaged in a trade war that's an utter failure. We don't know when it's going to end. It was unnecessary. Biden's economy was great. Yeah, there was inflation, but it was coming down. Now it's going right back up. How about that price of eggs, folks? So the economy sucks. Oh, I I've got the picture of what he promised to do. Here it is. I wrote this at the beginning. Grocery prices are still high. What about immigrants? How's that war on immigrants going? It's unpopular, and he is provoking violence. Cut taxes on billionaires and corporations. He still hasn't been able to do that because the budget that he is trying to put forward to extend these tax cuts, etc., increases the deficit by over $2 trillion, and it got him into a flame war with Elon Musk, and who knows where that goes. Cutting our personal taxes hasn't happened. What about January 6th? Oh yeah, he did that. So Donald Trump, interestingly, pardoned people who were convicted of creating violence against law enforcement, breaking into the Capitol. Seriously, what feels like an insurrection, the attack on the U.S. Capitol, and he pardoned them all. Oh, interesting. What else? He was going to go after his enemies. Oh, he's doing that. His internal enemies and end wars. No, he did not end the wars. And no, it turned out ISIS was not gone. That was a separate thing. So the only thing Donald Trump has accomplished, not surprisingly, is his friends, the people who attacked the Capitol, to help him overthrow the results of an accurate, honest election. One, he still claims that he won. Then he didn't. He has pardoned those violent people who worked for him. That's all he's done. And he's going after people he perceived to be his enemies. Why? Because this is the Donald Trump reality show. And just to quote G.W. Bush, George W. Bush, this is some weird shit. We need to call it out. Now, I'm going to get more to some images from the protests in a moment. Actually, let's do that now so that I can move on to the next topic. We've got a problem. Even though I want the LAPD handling this and not the National Guard, we do have a problem with the LAPD. Here's a reporter on camera talking about the rubber bullets that are being shot into the crowds. And here's the deal. I've never been shot by a rubber bullet, but I know that it's not just like a Nerf ball. Like, remember Nerfs, those little soft balls, they're squishy. Getting shot by a rubber bullet isn't like being shot with a Nerf ball. Rubber bullets, I read it last night because I was researching this, a study done that people who are hit by them, it's like over 50% have some kind of pain or injury. And you can be injured. You can lose your eye if it hits you in the eye. You can end up having to have surgery if it hits you hard enough. It bruises. Someone says it feels like you've been hit with a police baton. Now, I don't know, but let's play what just happened yesterday afternoon. A reporter from Australia on the scene in Los Angeles.
After hours of standing off, this situation has now rapidly deteriorated. The LAPD moving in on horseback, firing rubber bullets at protesters, moving them on through the heart of LA.
You just shut the fuck up! You okay?
I'm good.
Are you okay?
Okay. Now, someone said the reporter was taken to the hospital. Not her. She was the second reporter. A male reporter was taken to the hospital. What else do we see? The night before, so this was now going around as a incredible meme. You might remember from Apocalypse Now, the famous line, "I love the smell of napalm in the morning." This is now the modern day replacement. Reporter, this was, I think, on Saturday night in Los Angeles, someone who was sprayed with tear gas responding to a reporter.
You got caught up in the tear gas as well. Describe what happened to you.
Oh, just tasted a little tear gas. Tasted like fascism.
I got to play that again because it got it kind of bumpy. Let's do it.
You told me you got caught up in the tear gas as well. Describe what happened to you.
Oh, just tasted a little tear gas. Tasted like fascism.
Chef's kiss. chef's kiss. Yeah, I think it was just the video itself was bumpy. So tasted a little tear gas, tasted like fascism. Cool dude. Okay, again, nonviolent resistance. That is what we need. Now, that's what's happening. I don't know. Obviously, it's 6 a.m. in Los Angeles. I haven't seen the news from this morning. Not a great situation that we are in. But this is when I tell you it's not the time. It's not the time to say, I'm going to stay home. And again, you make your own choices. I think it's safer for us to be out in numbers. The bigger the numbers means it will be nonviolent. If you need to sit down, bring a chair, do what you need to do, but we cannot surrender to this dictatorship now. We just can't. That's not what we're made of. Make them look like they are overreaching. They want to send troops in? Fine, bring flowers, just like they did at Vietnam. We are peaceful. We are nonviolent. So this is what I'm going to share with you. And I'm going to drop this in the chat so that everyone knows about it. I'm signed up. There are over 1,700 of these, if not more. That was just the other day. In America, we don't do kings. And you see across the top of this, I'm going to blow this up so you can see better. I'll get out of the way. You can see across the top, there's the about, attend, toolkit, host, training, art, social, partners. I want you to go and sign up for this, again, unless it's not comfortable for you. Also, as a reminder, later this week, I'm going to get better links so you can, some of you have asked again, so you can download in print, either at home, 8.5 by 11, or the bigger size, go to your print shop, of Michael's Fuck Fascism woodcut poster. Not the original woodcut, mind you, but the PDF of it. That will be available. I'll have that up for you tomorrow, so you are ready. And I am ready with you. Now, guys, this is where we are, but I want you to do this. We need to walk and chew gum at the same time. Sherilyn Ifill, who I adore, reminds us, of this. Now, I want to be clear. This is not a distraction. Like, be real fucking careful. Do not tell people that the president unlawfully sending in troops, federalizing the National Guard without invoking the Insurrection Act over the governor's will, threatening to send in the Marines, having troops everywhere. Folks, this isn't a distraction. It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. It's all of one piece. If the Supreme Court keeps slapping you back, remember last week we went through that. He keeps losing. Well, the cases we looked at were at the trial court level. He keeps losing on his agenda. That emasculates him. And I hate to use this language, but he just is very basic. He gets slapped back and he gets humiliated. He gets humiliated by Elon Musk and threatened. And what did Elon Musk do last week? You remember? Elon Musk has hinted that Donald Trump's got some problems in the Epstein file, and that's why it's not being released. What's that about? What is he going to do? He is going to create fucking chaos. He's like that angry, on fire meme of a man. It's not okay. It's not okay. It's all part of the same thing. And that is his economic agenda. That is what he's doing with the tariffs. He listens to nobody and he breaks everything in front of him. Now, I want to have you listen to Mike Johnson on the news this weekend and him asked about the Epstein file. Let's watch.
Do you know what he's talking about with the Epstein files? I mean, what is, and why haven't those files been released? Have you? I mean, some of your members have said they got to be released.
As Cash said in the vignette earlier, he's FBI. That's not my lane. I don't know. I can tell you that I don't think we have no concern about President Trump or his involvement or any of that. I think it's nonsense.
And in terms of this threat,
for someone who's not concerned, he's awfully blushy and trying to Rebuff it. Not my lane. We have no concerns. Why isn't it being released? Now, I got more for you. Let's talk about the tariffs. Not good for consumers, not good for businesses. So let's listen to the questioning on that over the weekend.
Reserve, who said the rules are really unclear and business leaders need certainty. When will they get that certainty from the administration?
Right. Okay, this is on Face the Nation, and we have Kevin Hassett being asked, when will the business leaders be able to plan? Let's listen to what he says.
Well, you can be certain that there's going to be some tariffs, and the stuff that folks have been saying is going to happen to tariffs is inconsistent with what you and I have talked about before, Margaret. So what's going on, right, is that we've had a trade deficit with China forever and ever because they just want to sell stuff here so that they create jobs in China and help, control their government. So if people are unemployed, then it's harder for a dictatorship to run. And so the point is just that if we put a tariff on them, then they're going to bear the tariff.
Okay. Kevin. What he just told Margaret Brennan flies in the face of common sense. Let's imagine for a moment that we had the ability to manufacture more things in the United States. Who's doing the labor in factories? Let me just point out to you, if you know about the garment industry, that in Los Angeles, there are garment factories and garment workers. So some clothing is actually made right here in the United States and can get into stores faster. Faster fashion. And I don't mean fast fashion like crappy stuff, that people decry because it's not well made, blah, blah, blah. I'm talking about responding to trends, helping local boutiques, making it less costly because you don't have to ship it, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Los Angeles. What is the Trump administration doing? They're raiding the garment factories because who's doing that work? People come to the U.S. A lot of them are undocumented. This is well known, and it's been known for decades. So explain to me how any of what they plan is consistent at all. Now, someone said this, and I agree. Someone said, don't block traffic. I agree. I don't think it's ever a good idea to have a protest blocking traffic. Have it on the sidewalks. Have it somewhere where people can go by and honk in their car. Anywhere, and especially in LA. People have reasons why they are on the road. They have a job they need to get to. They are pregnant or getting to the hospital because they're about to give birth. There's a child who's sick, or they're just out with their family or a friend in the very limited time we have when we're not at work. And if you piss off people, it doesn't make them happy about the cause. So I agree, don't block traffic. Now, this is difficult because the thing about protesting is people are going to spontaneously do what they want. And that is why extremely well organized protests that are being done, I believe, June 14th, and they are June 14th, but I believe that organizations on the ground can help get people to places and try to dissuade them from, don't plan walking into the highway. If someone fringe wants to do that, that shouldn't be you or me. Okay. Now, let's talk about, because we were talking about this before, this idea of ending all the wars. Donald Trump has always been a puppet of Putin. Either he is completely under his thumb with direct or indirect threats, which is likely, or he just understands how power works and knows that Putin has dirt on him. And we know this because look at what happened when Elon and Trump, who just loved each other publicly, and he gave Elon the keys to destroy our administrative state, to help kick millions of people off their healthcare, all this stuff that Elon was doing, trying to shut down agencies, and getting slapped back recently by the courts this whole time until the flame war on Friday. They didn't threaten each other. Now, all of a sudden, Elon's like, Trump's a pedophile. Ha, ha, ha. I knew that the whole time. And now Donald is all, Elon's a drug addict. Ha, ha, ha. I knew that the whole time. So let me tell you, I believe that there is more that Putin has on Donald Trump. And I'm going to get to Zelensky. After Zelensky, though, I do need to tell you about the fisticuffs, the actual physical fight in the White House between Scott Bessent and Elon Musk. And I don't like Bessent. Again, I don't like Bessent. I don't like Musk. Not my monkey, not my circus. But in this particular fight, I do agree with what Bessent said. But first, let's go to Zelensky. Vladimir Zelensky knows that Putin has no interest in ending this war. Let's go.
President Trump told our Terry Moran in an interview, a recent interview, that he does believe Putin wants peace. You think he's wrong?
With all due respect to President Trump, Zelensky says, I think it's just his personal opinion. Trust me, we understand the Russians much better, the mentality of the Russians, than the Americans understand the Russians. I know for sure Putin doesn't want to stop the war.
Zelensky. That's what courage looks like. Remember when Russia thought they could take over Ukraine in just a day or two, and Zelensky was on the streets of Prague. In a world of Donald Trumps, of these giant oafy he-men who think they can push people around, in a world where not everybody was born with a silver spoon in their mouth and burned through hundreds of millions of dollars and intimidates everyone, be a good, honest family man, someone who cares about their country, someone like Zelensky. Now let's talk about Bessent and Musk. There is an article, and I'm going to about this brawl, and it's the Washington Post, and I'm going to pull this up for you right now. I don't know if you heard about this, but it's relevant, and I think it's also illuminating and something we should know about. Now, again, no dog in this fight. Okay, so I see this, yes. And there's also an advertisement right on the side here for Zyrtec liquid gel. So yes, is it allergy season? Maybe. I don't take those. So thank you for the opportunity. Hang on. So Washington Post. This is a piece written by 5 different authors. Here we go. I'm going to read. President Donald Trump was dejected, processing his very public split with the world's richest man. Rattled in the wake of Elon Musk's public attacks and apparent call for his impeachment, Trump worked the phones, debriefing close confidants and casual acquaintances alike. His former ally was a big-time drug addict, Trump said at one point as he tried to make sense of Musk's behavior, according to a person with knowledge of the call, who, like others interviewed for this article, spoke on the condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive matters. Musk has acknowledged using ketamine, a powerful anesthetic, so it goes on from there. Okay, so that is step one. So this is what he's doing. He's working the phones. And I want to get, though, into the brawl. And I thought I had, okay, 1 second. I thought this was in the Washington Post. Hold on. I'm going to find this one. This is, okay, yes, it is in the same piece. I am so sorry. I'm going to pull that back up. I thought I had a separate one for that. Okay. So this is what, he's calling around. Now, I want to get to this other piece of this. This account of the unraveling of the alliance between Trump and Musk is based on interviews with 17 people with knowledge of the events, including, again, many who spoke on the condition of anonymity. Now, Carolyn Leavitt gave one of these. We're going to focus on our agenda. Okay, fine. So this is one of my favorite quotes from this. Trump on True Socialist called for public scrutiny of Musk's government contracts, potentially imperiling his business empire. Okay. And then this is my favorite quote. This is from Ted Cruz. I feel like the kids of a bitter divorce where you're just saying, I really wish mommy and daddy would stop screaming. This is what Cruz said. This is so pathetic. That's why I love that quote. Okay, so let me tell you, they kind of do the blow by blow from Friday. We already did that, but I think that this is kind of recounting how people were like, no one voted for Elon Musk. Remember those days? But I want to get to the part with Scott Bessent. Okay. So not long after, Musk's tension with Trump's trade team devolved into blows in an altercation with Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, said Stephen K. Bannon, the influential right-wing podcaster and longtime political advisor to Donald Trump. In mid-April, Musk and Bessent had gone into the Oval Office to make their respective cases about their preference for acting IRS commissioner. Trump decided to support Scott Bessent's choice. That disagreement was first reported by the New York Times. Now, here's when it gets juicy. After Bessent and Musk exited the Oval Office and began walking down the hallway, the two men started to exchange insults. Bannon said he was told, adding that Bessent brought up Musk's claims that he would uncover more than one. So let me back up. So this is Bannon's account. So apparently Bessent said was mentioning Musk's promise that he would uncover this $1 trillion in wasteful and fraudulent government spending. And Musk had not succeeded in doing that. So this is in mid-April. So Scott said, "You're a fraud. You're a total fraud." And then Musk then rammed his shoulder into Bessent's ribcage like a rugby player, Bannon said, and Bessent hit him back. Multiple people stepped in to break up the scrum as the two men reached the National Security Advisor's office, and Musk was shuffled out of the West Wing. This is what is happening there. Now, what makes me angry about this isn't the physical fighting, which is just very telling of people unable to handle their emotions. But the fact that Scott Bessent called Elon Musk a fraud and didn't tell us that. And Elon Musk was still, this was mid-April, until early June, he still had a major role in the White House. And no one has to this day said that Donald Trump was idiotic and it was dangerous and what Musk was doing was fraudulent. And in fact, Musk's people in Doge are still there and they're still handling our sensitive information. This makes me unhappy. Now, one last thing before Crazy Town. You might remember I had Ben Collins on the show, who now owns The Onion, right, on Friday. And I mentioned Kat Abu. I use the shorthand she uses for her last name, who is running for Congress in Illinois. And here she was on the weekend shows. I want you to hear her in her own voice talk about what's right now happening on the streets and in our country.
Decide, are we allowed to have extrajudicial gangs go around our communities, take people from their homes, ship them to God knows where? Is the president allowed to have his own secret army, secret police that can just take people, hurt people? In Chicago, there was just an ICE raid this last week where they tricked people who were following the legal immigration process into coming for a check-in and then arrested them and assaulted protesters and elected officials. This is beyond the pale. And just because Stephen Miller wants to get quotas of brown people that he doesn't want to see on the streets doesn't mean that we should think it's okay.
I think she's great. If you're in her district in Illinois, I would encourage you to look into her campaign. I would vote for her. I wish I lived there to vote for Kat Abou-Ghazala, or for short, Kat Abu. And now, my friends, we have time for, actually, before we go to Crazy Town, I have not been looking in the chat. And so this is, I want to know from you, what questions do you have for me, either about what to do next, the trouble we are facing, or anything else? I will put your question up on the screen. Okay. Oh, wait. I see Trump, Kissy Cat says, Trump doesn't have one childhood friend to vouch for him. So weird. Kissy, this speaks to me. this speaks to me because I was just at my 40th high school reunion. And after 40 years to see, I mean, some of these folks, this was my high school reunion, but I happened to go to the same sort of school all the way through pre-K through 12th grade with these folks. And some of us, this is in Michigan, I just moved back there, but others have been there the whole time. Some are in Chicago, some are in LA, some are in New York, some are in Connecticut, wherever. And it was, some in Mexico came in for the reunion. And it was incredible to spend time with people when we are, it feels like we're on the other side of something. Like a lot of us have raised kids and the kids are either, away in college or about to leave, or we've had big career moves and now we're stepping back, or some folks are retiring or changing. People are looking now at this next period of their life. And I think it made for a really wonderful time together. And I know that I would vouch for my childhood friends. Okay, someone just said, Josh Backey, we get Schumer out of there, rating goes up. Hell yes. Chuck Schumer is not the person we need at this time. Someone asked my thoughts on Gretchen Whitmer. I love Gretchen Whitmer. As you know, she's my governor right now in Michigan. That means she's done, though, because she's termed out. So we have a new race for governor. I'm not sure if you're asking me specifically about Gretchen as a national candidate. I think she'd be an amazing national candidate. I think she might face trouble, as I said, because Donald Trump threw her under the bus. She went there to help the auto industry to the Oval Office or to the White House, and then he put her on camera. And that might hurt her future, but she did what was right for Detroit, for Michigan. I think she is great. Impeach Trump and Vance, 100% for that. As you know, Elon Musk and Peter Thiel love JD Vance. They would love Donald to get out of there. From my point of view, I'll take Donald being impeached, and then we'll wait for the next. I don't think JD Vance has the charisma or the insanity to that would either help him get reelected or rig things. Okay, question. Michelle says, what do we do when martial law is declared? Do we protest? Okay, first of all, I'm not sure martial law will be declared because I just don't see martial law being declared all across the country. But yes, you don't need, quote, whatever, quote unquote, martial law. We are there, Michelle. We have troops being put into the streets over the authority of a governor, and we have the threat of Marines coming in, and Donald Trump saying there will be troops everywhere. So don't wait. The protests are now, and they're nonviolent, and we should flood the streets. He is trying to make people scared to be out in the streets on June 14th. His goal is to have a military parade and a military attack, if need be, on the same day. June 14th is no King's Day. Donald Trump wants to make it whatever he wants to. He will be at war against us unless we are out in numbers, nonviolently. And again, we can't be responsible for pockets of people. We can do what we can do. We must show up now. It's not in the future. We are now living in a dictatorship. Next question. Karen Cooney, should the blue state governors withhold federal taxes to stop Trump? No. Absolutely not. One, it's illegal. And two, it doesn't stop Donald Trump. It hurts people in the states that rely on that money. If we don't submit our taxes, let's just be practical. If we don't care about the law, let's do the practicality. Then tariffs just go up. He wants to dismantle the income tax system anyway. And let me just also say to you that I'm not sure that this is all the state tax funds. Because remember, if you work for a living and you get a paycheck, your money is being withheld and sent every week. If you get paid weekly or every 2 weeks, like I get paid, it gets sent in to the state and federal government. So the kind of money we're talking about is money that's not collected regularly. And it is obviously a huge chunk of money, but it's not all of our tax dollars. and we'd be starving our fellow citizens. So I am not for that. Dems need to think outside the box. Same old isn't cutting anymore, Sylvain Coffin said. Right. We need people who speak. I mean, I am, as you know, someone who believes in what Bernie has to say, even though I was a Hillary supporter back in the day, what Bernie has to say, what AOC has to say. And in fact, I think I had, on that note, I did have a quote from Bernie. Let's play this, and then I will go look one more question or two, and then we'll do Crazy Town. Here's Bernie.
And I think the drama, the story of what happened last week is you are living increasingly in an oligarchic society. And Musk said to Trump, hey, listen, I spent $270 million to get you elected. I bought you the presidency because we have a corrupt campaign finance system and billionaires can do that. And Trump said, well, I gave you the right to run the government for 3 or 4 months, but I don't like the guy you want to run NASA, and we're going to get rid of him. And Musk got upset. This is a fight between oligarchs. It's a fight about power among the few, and it's really an embarrassment to those of us who believe in democracy and the rule of law.
Well, I was going to ask.
Okay, I want to pull this back up just to show I'm not going to like dominate people with my ideas. Margaret Yorchuk said, I disagree with you. Blue states need to hold back their federal payments. So here's the deal, Margaret. You know, I get it. And that's your view. And probably a lot of other people think that. I just want to make a pitch as someone who is an expert in white collar crime, including tax fraud and tax evasion. I will never advise someone to commit a federal crime, including a governor, period. That's just me. Again, just like I say, lawful protests, nonviolent protests, doing this to me isn't the answer. And the money's already been sent, but I love that Margaret is pushing back because that's what we do here on this show. Okay, anyone else who has too much makeup? Let me go. Too much makeup. I don't know which Deb, too much makeup. Is it about Donald Trump or me? I don't know. Okay. But thank you, I guess. I'm not sure. And Twisted Nerves painting. Damn, I love it when Senator Sanders strips the varnish off of it, all like that. Okay. Okay, I got you. Another person pushing back against me. Gopher. Facts. Withholding taxes is nonviolent. Yeah, okay, it's nonviolent. But again, as an expert in white collar crime, I point out that the effects of white collar crime, including people not paying their taxes, has physical harm to the communities that rely on that. So you be you. Okay. Great question. One more question before we do Crazy Town. Zofia Fordnia, bring masks to the protest. So if you want to wear a mask. I mean, one of the things, in my little town, there's not going to be any National Guard. If you're in a big city and you're worried and you want a mask, not to necessarily hide your face because you think there might be tear gas or what have you. Like, again, I think that's unlikely. You know, maybe the idea is wear glasses over your eyes. If you already do sunglasses, in terms of covering your face, if you don't want to get sick, wear a mask. I know that they're saying Donald Trump's trying to claim that masks are illegal, but that the people who are committing unlawful actions, ICE, are allowed to or must wear masks to protect their identities. I mean, if you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. I don't think it's unlawful to wear a mask, and I think it's a fascist dictate to say that you can't. Okay, guys. I love it. You rock, Jen. And with this, let me say, Jason has been imploring you, and let me do it myself. You need to like the show and subscribe. Remember, it's free to subscribe and touch and hit that little bell icon. That means you'll be reminded of whenever the show comes. We are doing great numbers, you guys. Unlike, I know because I look at this, sometimes people have a sensational, promotion. And you see there's some networks that might have, 1 million people or 100,000 people who are subscribers, but that's not, but they're only getting a small percentage who actually watch. We may be small, but we are mighty. With like over 9,000 people, the fact that we have between 1,500 and 2,500 people watch the show every day, that is a huge percentage. Plus people stay to the end. They watch a bigger percentage of our show than others. So, I just want to let you know, today we're a small community, tomorrow the world. And also, I'm getting back on the mugs. I'm finally focused, and I will have those soon for free to my mods. And then if everyone likes them, maybe I'll sell them. I don't know what to do exactly. I'll need to recover my costs. I can't just give things away for free, but I'm going to see what the appetite is for them. And now it is time for, thank you, Fletcher. Thank you. It is time now for Crazy Town and our Crazy Town dance. Oh, I am sharing too many videos and I need to remove one from the studio. Okay, my friends, here we go. Crazy Town. This is crazy. Whoops.
There is a provision that eliminates a tax on gun silencers. Now, this is a tax that has been on the books for about 100 years. Why are you suddenly cutting a tax on silencers?
Well, there's a lot of thought and deliberation that went into that as well. The Second Amendment is a critical freedom in the Constitution, and there's no real rationale for adding taxes on these pieces of equipment. And we had the votes to do it. I think it was a long time overdue. I think we have to protect the fundamental freedoms of the American people, and there's no rationale. The government should not be making money on something that you have the fundamental inalienable right to.
What about?
Okay, let's step back on this. Why do you think for 100 years there has been a tax on silencers? First of all, silencers are a terrible idea. It'd be nice if they could be eliminated, but apparently that hasn't been something that can be done. Why don't we like silencers? Because a silencer and a gun allows someone to shoot somebody silently and get away with it. Right? So if you have the right to carry a gun around and in self-defense and all of these things that the U.S. Constitution apparently means, according to the Supreme Court in Heller 1 and Heller 2 and et cetera, if you're doing this in a lawful way, why do you need to make it silent? Why can't you just stand there and say, this person was breaking into my house, or this was stand my ground, or whatever you are trying to say? Why not? Now, you might say it is weird that the government is taxing something as opposed to just forbidding it. But this is the next best strategy. And he is not admitting that. Okay, guys. And so with that, please, as I asked you, please, if you can, sign up. Remember that you probably are not going to be tear gassed. I find it very unlikely. Especially that these protests are nationwide, small towns. Do you think if you're protesting outside of your city hall that has, 20,000 people in your town, or you're in Boston and you're in a crowd in the Commons? I mean, I've been to these things. There isn't usually tear gas. But again, if you're worried about that, keep in mind one last thing. That nobody should be tear gassed because...
You got caught up in the tear gas as well. Describe what happened to you.
Oh, just tasted a little tear gas. Tasted like fascism.
And with that, my friend, see ya tomorrow morning. We still have the vestiges of a democracy that we could revive, but we are now in the Trump dictatorship. We must resist. Love you.
Hello, prison mates. It's the 10 years. Let's learn about what is happening in politics yesterday and today. There was hope, and we are together in this democracy we work for. And again, welcome to the Jen Taub Show.